If I hear that there is a new novel, movie about filmmaking, I am always there. I love those stories, like people going for their dream, the difficulties that come about achieving those dreams. So when I heard there was a manga about that subject, which I kind of stumbled upon accidentally looking at some top 10 list of, I'm going to warn you right now, this manga is currently only available in French and Japanese. And this is how I read it. It's called Ocean Rush. And I rushed to get a copy when I learned about it. So this manga is about an older woman, 65 years of age. Her husband passes away, and she's left alone at home. She has a grown daughter who's moved away, and she is kind of wondering what she's going to do with her life. And she kind of, through a certain number of events, rekindles a love of cinema. It's something that she always had. She talks about it, but, life gets in the way, and she decides, you know what? I am going to become a movie maker, and in the process of that, I will go to film school. Now, that sounds like Back to School, the Rodney Dangerfield picture. But what really grabbed me as I was reading this was how intelligent it is about the process of being creative. So Ocean Rush, the title, it's a metaphorical title. The idea of the ocean rushing in is visualized throughout this as realization or understanding, and that you can ebb, you can flow. It's going to be very difficult, and it will also be uncontrollable, but it's something that at a certain point you can't control, that you're going to need to go towards that thing. And again, it may sound like a very broad comedy, but the author of this novel, who is credited as John Terrashine, I've read some articles where it seems to indicate it's a she. It's just so smart at the way that it goes through this. It also centers around a teenage boy, I believe. He has the he pronoun, but it's also kind of ambiguous gender-wise, that she meets at a screening. And her love for cinema is really influenced by him. And so what's funny about this is that I'm reading it and going, is this going to be a romance between the 65-year-old woman and this other boy that she met at the cinema, who also ends up being in the same film school that she ends up going to? I don't think so. I think it's mostly a platonic kind of relationship of just one person inspiring the other and going forward like that. And I think that where it really clicked into me going, wow, this is great, is she talks about going to the cinema, and that when she would watch a movie, she would love what's happening on screen, but what really moved her was looking behind her and looking at the other people reacting to what was happening on screen. And that is such a intelligent way to go about it. If you are someone who makes movies, you want to see other people's reaction, or you want to live vicariously through other people. That's why you make art. It's not just a selfish thing. It's also to affect people. And when I read that, I was like, oh man, John Terrashine, they understand what's going on, and they understand what the process is. I would learn later on, I think in volume 3 or 2, that the author mentions that they went to film school, but they actually had to drop out before they were able to complete it. But then that there's that kind of passion and understanding. So in the 3 volumes, it's basically like a 65-year-old woman goes to film school. There's not that much fish out of water comedy. It's not like, oh, wow, what is technology? What's going on? She's very creative. She may have some difficulty with new technology, but she'll figure it out. And it just understands making movies better than almost any media I've ever seen. The force it takes to just carry a tripod all day, especially if you're 65 years old. The difficulty of raising up and wanting to be creative in a film school setting. The idea that you need to decide what you want to do and also what projects you want to make. What it means to show other people your art. It's all in these books. And this is an ongoing series. I believe in French, there are currently 4 volumes published. And again, I say it's only available in French and Japanese. It's out there in English in what's called scanlations. I would never recommending you go read that, even though that it's not available anywhere else in English at this moment. I will say, though, that I don't know what triggers books to be published in English. Slice of life stuff, unless it's by someone famous, it's a little bit harder to sell. But then again, this author, they do have a manga published called The Witch of, I'm going to mispronounce this, Thistle Castle, and it's currently very available. You can get it out. I believe the first and second volume are out, and the third one is incoming in English. which is good that you can actually read this author's work, see if it's kind of like on your wavelengths, but that is genre work. And I wonder if it means, if that sells, if this will come out too, because it's a little bit of a tougher sell. I really hope it comes out in an official way in English, because I think it's like this could become almost like a textbook for people that are passionate about movie, especially people who have been to like a film school style setting. Or, you know, it's not even film school, it's like making movies with a group. It's very difficult. There's a lot of complex things that are involved, you know, personality-wise, and these stories really understand that in a way that's like not super dramatic. It doesn't look for, you know, big hooks or big turns, but it just understands it. And it makes it a really compelling read. And I love stories about older people that go after their dream, especially ones that like a 65-year-old filmmaker, oh yeah, that's never gonna happen, right? But of course it does. It probably happens all the time. And to see how that would play out in a realistic fashion, Ocean Rush does it, and it does it really well. So I hope that you will go, I mean, maybe if it's online somewhere, check it out. If you speak French, check it out. If you can speak Japanese, check it out. And I hope it gets published in English, so more people can read it, more people can talk about it, and can be something that you hand anyone who's a filmmaker and say, read this. This understands you, and you will understand it. If you enjoyed this little recommendation, I would say check out the Very Fine Comic Book Podcast. It is a podcast that I do every week with Mike Wood, where we pick a different book and we just talk about it. A little introduction, a little bit of discussion. You don't have to read the book that we talked about, and we hope to just kind of like open some doors, maybe make you interested in other things that perhaps you may not have heard of if you didn't listen to the podcast every week, which we really hope that you do. We also do kind of recommendations at the beginning of new stuff that we're reading, so that's another kind of entryway into discovering all sorts of stuff like Ocean Rush. And again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.